Please note that this video has spoilers for the subject. Put off by how long this video is, don't worry, I try to jam-pack my videos with as much content and as much detail as I possibly can. Anything I feel I can comment on and that I feel you might be interested in, I pretty much put in the video. I try not to repeat myself and talk fairly fast. I got this either as a present or I got it on discount, so I did not pay very much money for this and am thus not bitter on account of that. Allo Allo, Season 1 through 4, Show Thoughts. Starting with the intro. Like with the Married with Children Thoughts videos, I will not be repeating jokes that are sexist or the following types. I will say, I do like almost all the jokes, although today, the body shaming, the homophobia, transphobia, and mocking of the elderly do bother me. And I admit when I was younger, I didn't realize how offensive those were. Now, Pilot or the British Are Coming. That's a cute reference, especially made by non-Americans. And yes, immediately the German officers are behaving like school children, and Renee has to keep them from getting angry and using violence against them. And Michelle tells the horrible fate of the previous safe house owner, and then tells Renee that his is going to be the next safe house. Not exactly a very convincing, she maybe should have led with, you are going to be doing really great work for France, and you're going to help us defeat, Instead, the last guy who worked for us, he was, killed, and yeah. And Renee would rather just mail them the forged papers. I love them freeing Leclerc. And Maria thinks it's for sex that they're going to the back room. Onions are not in season. That is how you will know they're the airmen. And presumably, how the German... not how the Germans will be able to tell. Yeah. And... It is the resistance, you fool! You want to tell everyone in the village? You fools! You have earthed my wife's mother! Have you told your wife about us? No, we must wait until the war is over, he says in the first episode. And I suppose... I shouldn't... Yeah, I'll leave that one. Let's just say he genuinely might not tell her until the war is over. The two sides have very different ideas of how Dunkirk went down. And the first of many games of charades for, the French trying to communicate to the French trying to communicate something to the two British airmen which they completely misunderstand. I love the first meeting between Gruber and Renee. And I love her catching things about Helga that she needs to attend to, mocking the Nazi obsession with perfection by making it fetishistic, sexual. And the fallen Madonna is, yeah, and Hans stuffs the clock down his pants. Now, moving on. The British have come. It is getting hard, and I must put it in quickly. And, well, for me, it is the very worst information I have ever heard. You will feel nothing forever. And the first of Helga's many shouts. Pliers and rubber hose, and Renee thinks it's for him. And then the gas poker. And I feel really bad for the actress playing Edith and her mother, having to sing out of tune, having to look unattractive, having to play stupid, being mocked and yelled at, and such for jokes. We had a power cut. Can you do another one? 3 big boobies? Receiving you loud and crackly. And they goose step out of the cafe. Pigeon Post. Apologies for the longer break between the time code and me getting to what the notes I took for the episode. For both this and 2.5 Men, I copy-pasted in the descriptions of the episodes. However, for this show, yeah, from Wikipedia, for this show, they are incredibly detailed. Like they'll go over every single plot point. Where, you know, for did I say Married with Children or 2.5 Men? 2.5 Men is the next I'll get to. Married with Children is the one I already did. I think I said it right. But anyway, for Married with Children, it'll be like a couple of lines, and it'll say the overall concept, and maybe where it starts, maybe where it ends. For this show, every single plot point, and for some of these episodes, there are a lot of plot points. Otherwise, they will shoot me for being nice to the Germans. If they find the colonel and the captain in their underwear, this could make the Gestapo suspicious. But the colonel doesn't have his revolver. Very amusing. I am wasting my time here. Oh, thank goodness. And Michelle keeps having to start over. I shall say this only once. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Will nobody believe this woman? Pigeons will be provided. Like teeth. It is the Undertaker. First episode to have Fanny and Leclerc together. Magneto? Cerebro. She seems keen to get it going. If we don't get it, she's going to shoot herself. And they burn the uniforms so they won't be shot as spies. You will be shot up against the wall with guns. He's waiting. To have our uniforms made in London must be against the rules. The captain is keen to agree. I say, they can't have very much confidence in the soup. The noise of the lorries was keeping me awake at night. And first time, Helga kisses Flick.
That gave me great pleasure. And the corkscrews for the wine, not for torture. Herr Flick as an onion seller walks and talks the same as Herr Flick as Gestapo. That's one of the best parts of, you know, pretty much everyone dresses up at least one point in the show. Herr Flick, when he does, at least in these early parts, I forget if he gets better, but he is so, it's so deeply ingrained into him that he's Gestapo and that everyone does what he says, that he can't not act as Gestapo when he's disguised. So yeah, that's very, very funny. And she cooked the pigeon. And they find the cylinders right there on the, yeah. Stop. I will investigate. Maybe it's the name and address of the pigeon. And the prospect of eating the pigeon, the colonel becomes very childlike again. Savile Row to the rescue. Now, and every time he says what's in that bottle, balls, and the German officer just really wants some of that gin. I forget, it's maybe Gruber. I sent my hat also. My onions are bigger than your onions. And Klinkerhoffen, I had actually forgotten that he appeared this early on. Mix the gin with the chickens. And oy vey. So do our little toes. And feathers flying. I think they want the wireless. Huh. Wi-Fi is older than I thought it was. It is in case you want to say anything. Do not be early either. Be punctual. We might be with you. On what authority will you arrest Michelle? The office of onion sellers? And a German officer distracts a guard, someone else hits him in the head, leaving him unconscious. How very commandos. And it's only a fitting. Now, the execution. Also, just to have it said in a video actually about Allo Allo, in case people didn't watch the last one where I talked about this, I am not certain I'll be doing another review of the show because I feel like I said pretty much everything, pretty much everything I want to say in a review of the show, I said in the old video of the, review of the show. And then there's, some stuff in general about how these 80s and 90s shows, the treatment of women and such, which I went into in my review of Married with Children. So, I'm not, But I will be doing thoughts for all seasons, which against the rules in the German army. And Hans suggests helping blowing up the railway. Only 12 seconds late. And Hans throws the bottle. I am standing on a peasant. I have done it before. And Leclerc, the priest, it is I, Leclerc. Bless you, and you. And everyone brings hacksaws. And she said this only once. And first time Helga shouts, announcing or ordering someone. And the general's here. And Hans keeps yelling, "Big!" "No, Colonel, it is I know nothing. This is not the kind of escape I had in mind." The whole execution is very nicely edited, and yeah, I mean, it's not something that the show is really known for. It's mostly it's the writing and the performances. But yeah, in this particular one, the editing's great, and it's for an outdoor scene, and nevertheless, you know, two. The funeral. And first time we meet the Undertaker, had me shot. I got better. Will he not find it a little strange? Twin brother, how very soap opera. You look exactly like yourself. Your usual, whatever that may be. Renee, you have mastered this already. And Hans falls off the chair and does the salute with his leg instead of his arm. Yes, Hans, why did you not do the thing that I didn't ask you to do? And Hans does the salute and drops the paper. What is so strange about that? I forgot I was dead. This is the wife of my brother, the dead one. And all three of them say a different place that the body is. Well, we've been moving him around a lot. What is this, a coffin for ants? We're not pulling him up again. You cannot have sadly missed. Presumably when Rene wrote that will, he wasn't expecting to survive. The Undertaker and Franz would laugh. That would be unusual, I'm sure. And flower in the face. It is the unquiet spirit of my husband. And she knocks. Why does he have flour on his face? And Renee starts to sob. We will get it for you. At these prices, I cannot afford another funeral. And she thinks she is to get in the coffin. The guy leading the German patrol has a perfect face for that exact role. They really, I didn't note that for the other, but the show in general, these first 4 seasons certainly, really do have great casting for all the German soldiers and officers and such. I'm talking about, you know, obviously the main cast, but also these extras and such, which, yeah, not always the case. Now, did Rene bat his finger at them? He bit the finger, yeah. I will try to arrange that. And Leclerc is the priest. And he points to the living Rene instead of the dead one. No, I cannot see. That is their funeral. This is mine. And the gate is locked. If it wasn't for your shooting, we wouldn't be here in the first place. And the coffin starts driving away. About 7 minutes passed from when we were told about the mines to we see the coffin rolling away. So the audience doesn't, you know, we maybe have time to figure out, you know, realizing obviously the coffin is going to end up exploding within the same episode. But, you know, it doesn't have enough time that it, like, that we really sit there and go, okay, come on, get on with it. We know where this is going. Yeah. I love Flick's reaction to the dirt hitting them. That was very amusing. That was not so amusing. And Helga's is priceless too. I do have to wonder if that was the actress breaking character. I could see it being written that way as well. You know, maybe they didn't have more takes. Maybe they thought it was funny. Possibly they didn't notice, or at least not until it was too late to do anything about it. Apologies. Red Nick's Colonel. Here it says Red's Nick Colonel. I'm fairly certain that's Red Nick's Colonel. Yeah. Not sure what Red's Nick Colonel would mean, at least. And the airmen are under the table. Thank you, Hans. We can always depend on you. And of course the resistance shows up. Not safe to throw a party. You know, it really is. What did they think was going to happen? You know, everyone knows they frequent that place, and then it's like, you know, their birthday, so which means that the resistance know that they will be there that day. You know, if they plan it for another day, there's a chance they won't be there. And if the word spreads that they came that day, they might start frequenting a different place, or they might double up on bodyguards or something. But no, it's, yeah. I just hand him the pen. I did not know you were there. You overcharged me last week. Yes, Renee, that's right. Good job on you know, priorities there. I thought you were giving up smoking. That would have made it the wrong week to quit smoking. I'm not a baby. Try not to smolder. If I may say so, that is a slight exaggeration. As you know, my brother and I haven't really been getting on. We're supposed to have the last request. Quite pig, dog, hyena. Cousins. Identical cousins. And they have to imitate British. Be careful not to hit the broadside of the barn. I would feel better if you said it all the same. And he thinks it's a star. Great expression on Hans' face. And he gave him the wrong painting. The Dance of Hitler Youth. And now this is the season 1 finale, and I mean, it's okay as such, but I mean, we've just had an episode where a coffin blew up, you know, so yeah, you know, we've seen bigger stuff on the show. She will repeat nothing. I shall say this only once. First time he says, "You stupid woman," even though it's not the first time he was caught. Leclerc genuinely does not get that he's attracting too much attention for the kind of spy stuff that they're doing. It's like he just, you know, he realizes, okay, I am playing, you know, for example, an onion seller, and I have been walking for a while, and I need to rest, and that's why I came into the cafe. And that's like, it's good to remember that in case like a German says, well, who are you and what are you doing here? But he can't stop thinking about it, so he's like, I am an onion seller, I have walked very far and my legs are tired, so I came into this cafe, and just attracting way more attention than, yeah. Now, it is I, Leclerc. And the radio starts whistling. Who is Pierre? No, Herr Flick, that is the real one. I love her face on it, because she's, again, she's like focusing on, okay, let's see, there are X amount of them, and we made sure, the idea is that we give Herr Flick the forgery so we can keep the real one, so it's our pension for after the war. But we accidentally got the real one. We gave the real one to Herr Flick. which means we have to get it away from him. So when he's like, that is a forgery, she's like, no it isn't, I know that's the real one. And Hans looks so different without the glasses. Lucky Edith, she found an excuse to wear a monocle. The password bit is great. All the, you know, the what is the password? Do stuff. Great. You're doing your job. Well, let's pass, you know. And then the Dusseldorf, and then I don't remember Brahman. No, it's Dusseldorf. I know that, but I have to respond wrong, you know. And then they get to the third one, Dusseldorf and Brahman, because Rene is again he's got in his head, okay, there are 2 passwords and it's Dusseldorf and Brahman. So he's focusing so much on that he forgets that they're only supposed to say one of them. And you know, Edith starts yelling at the soldier, attracting too much attention, and out comes the guy. I will put it in his room because I'm nice and helpful like that. And that hadn't occurred to them that someone along the way would stop them and say, I will take it and put it in his room. You know, if they're not, you know, they're going into they're headed to his office when he isn't in his office. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they would, that the person, you know, putting the thing in the office is someone working for Herr Flick, not these 2 officers that, yeah. And it says this salute similar to Hans. I don't think that's one of his favorites. They look priceless marching. Ah, with pneumonia. No, I mean, no. And that brings us to the second season, I'm sorry, British show, second series. And first episode, 6 Big Boobies. Now, as a season opener, this is, you know, fine. It's, yeah. And fire. Is he in the back room? Well, that backfired. He was a prophet. And they brought him by mailbag. Yes, when he was taller, he signed his painting further up. I know that. I own the place. And the airmen are inside the piano. And just the instead of just like saying, you know, tonight Edith will sing unaccompanied, you know, or something. You know, Leclerc is like, you know, and it is like, what is it like? Lily Marlene, I didn't write down my notes, but I think it's Lily Marlene that the German officer, the German soldier wants sung. And yeah, the Germans liked it, and you know, the French knew it well enough to sing it while they were, you know, occupied, of course. And the British knew it because it was popular with both Brits and Germans. So yeah, it's realistic enough that they know it, and then they're like, oh, okay, sure. They're not like, no, we don't know what to do. No, they're like, okay, you know, we got this. To Leclerc, and he starts trying to play, and they're like, plinky plinky plonk. And then, you know, the Rene and some of the others like join in to sing, so that they, you know, so that they're louder than the airmen, but just yeah, the airmen are just they're so naive and optimistic that they thought that that would actually work. You know, you or I trapped in the same situation would probably just try to be quiet and figure no, if we say plinky plinky plonk, they're not gonna believe that that's just the piano. But yeah, they've got the right attitude. The wooing of Widow Artois. Excuse me. Now, here we go. I don't suppose she will. Sit down and pay attention. Why? Shall you say this only once? It is I, Leclerc. These are for your cover. And they put the baskets on their heads because, wow. I absolutely love the cow disguise. It's one of the best things in the entire, you know, Plinky Plinky Plonk and the cow disguise, and especially I think the next episode, the cow disguise riding a tandem bike. Those are the some of the funniest, and I love that the cow mouth, you know, opening and saying hello. It's, yeah, the two airmen make a very convincing move female. And the policeman cometh. He's giving a lecture on farming. The, the bike arrives, and the airman cow opens its mouth in shock. And both cow airmen sit down and protest. It's also you know, of all the different cows, they walk up to that exact one. And thankfully, they're like, nah, and, you know, it has very small teeth, so, yeah. After a few words in proper French, the cops, yeah, the cops are, you know, speaking in French. Yeah, yeah, yes, you know, speaking poor French. Sorry, yeah, yeah, genuinely, the first couple of words he says is in the show's version of French, you know, with the proper, you know, with the, and then he starts speaking really poor French. Do you think he, you know, yeah, so someone says like, you know, do you think he will be convincing as long as he does not speak? Yes. Every line of Crabtree's is funny. I'm not gonna quote every single one in these videos. Make sure you get a receipt. Renee has the phone number for the communist resistance. Are they listed? Couldn't the De Gaulle resistance just call them the times that there are misunderstandings between them? I mean, I get that they're at odds because of who they support politically, but yeah, I don't know. It is I, Leclerc. Renee is more worried about losing customers than German officers using violence against him. You know, when Fanny attacks them with the umbrella. I mean, if again, like if it was not during wartime, and you know, yeah, your customers are being attacked by, you know, someone outside of your cafe, it's like you're costing me customers. But yeah, I mean, these Germans could just say this, you know, this peasant is, yeah. They always break in the end, he says about a hard-boiled egg. Yeah, I love her flick. Hans and Renee are very funny together. They're both so nervous. swiftly and with style. Now, I was just about to say all of that. Helga's a real lifesaver. And yeah, the tandem biking cow. Absolutely hilarious. The Duel. Now. And he clucks. With a 25-pound shell, that is not easy. They play Monopoly in Hitler's bunker as jail, and the jackboot and the jackboot is one of the pieces, and the other, crap, I forget what the other one is. He did not laugh at any of my jokes. He offered to bury me at trade prices. You're Batman, Gruber? I would have figured he'd ask Alfred for that kind of thing. And Renee refuses Alphonse's apology because he's so sure that it'll work out. Get on with it. How very Monty Python. Herr Flick's Revenge. And the messages, have you got a plan? Both times. Wow. The Gâteau from the Château. Now. Yeah, long episode, so even longer explanation. And here we go. Sorry about that. I swear I am trying not to accidentally knock the make the camera bounce. Yeah. If we do that, we will come down. Knocking at the cottage door. And they crash through. Great sight gag and very unexpected for them to break part of the set. Very nice work on the audio of the cuckoo clock dying. And the airmen are hidden in animal heads. You haven't stolen the whole iceberg, have you? And everyone wants to kill General Klingerhofen. All is quiet on the Western Front. And the fake mustache comes off for it is I, Leclerc, this time. Let's see. And the mother of one of the British airmen, just as naive and optimistic as they are. And the French national anthem flawlessly leads into the German national anthem. Simple plots are always the best. Great job by the actor who plays Hans. That must have taken some practice to go through all of the details of with the rhyming and not like crack up. More toasts because he still hasn't had enough for it to work. Did the Kaiser have a dog? And the chicken ended up on the General's World War I helmet. One of the first things they teach you at military officers academy is never tell a senior officer when there's a chicken on top of his helmet. You may smoke. And he hit Flick. I love Flick jumping around from the poison. It must have been incredibly hard for the other actors not to crack up. Just the whole, it's like, I don't have, what is it, cigarette pipe. I'll borrow yours. And Helga's like, oh, this is not gonna go well. Ah, there seems to be something stuck. It's okay, I'll just blow it. And goes right into Fleek. And thankfully he has the antidote, which we saw earlier that he had. He had the fish. Yes, I do. And Michelle and the others are on the floor because they think it's blowing up, and thus they're no longer stopping Rene from the what is it? He pours like the sand onto the cake to prevent it. Yeah, in honor of the Kaiser buried. Moving on to the third series. The Nicked Knockwurst. Now, what does that mean? It seems each of these season series openers do a good job of quickly reestablishing what has happened, what is going on, since if you don't watch them off the DVDs, you will have waited months before the new season started. I don't know how they air the episodes themselves. I mean, I know that, American shows with 22 episodes per season. That's 22 weeks in a row, one episode per week. And then, you wait for, half a year, for the next season to start up. 20 some weeks out of the year, and then half. Anyway, I don't know if British series, if that's 6 weeks, excuse me, in a row, or if they only do it monthly to make it last longer, or what. But yeah, certainly, you'll have waited almost an entire year between one series ending and the next one starting up. If that's six weeks, a month and a half. So yeah, it'll have been a while, and you might have forgotten. Regain consciousness. Sell the toaster. Rushing to the table to hear Helga's plan is very funny. I love all the disguises. German officers as trees, German soldiers as French policemen, Gestapo as French resistance, and cafe people as German soldiers. Yeah, just very, very nicely done. That absolutely everyone, and several of them are such obvious disguises. No one could possibly fall for, the German soldiers as French policemen. It's so obvious that they're really German soldiers. Now, and the dog goes after the thrown sausage because it's like, to the dog's brain, it's like, that's food. I can, it's actually rather pungent. I can easily smell it from here. That's food. And someone's throwing something. I'm supposed to pick it up, obviously, and it just so happens that the dog decides not to immediately return with it. It runs off with the sausage instead. And everyone in their disguises is chasing the dog. Very Benny Hill. Now, Gruber does some mincing. I tried looking up. As far as I could tell, the word mincing, even when used derogatorily about homosexuals, as far as I could tell, it's not considered offensive the way a lot of these words are. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used it. And Helga starts tiring of shouting orders. The forgery? Authors, yeah, 3. Finger pointing gets us nowhere, Steve. How lucky you are, Renee. The Undertaker will spend a lot of money at the cafe. And The sausage in the wardrobe. And here we go. The Gestapo sure know how to have fun. The secret passages are hilarious. It's just, several of them are completely nonsensical, and it's just this kind of, yeah, they do such a good job of keeping it on at this comical, not just comedic, but comical level. Like, this really is, yeah, very, very out there, and it very easily, you know, wouldn't have been. And Herr Flick inside an old, you know, armor, a suit of armor, and he's still walking very with the limp and the whole, yeah. Was the sausage supposed to fall after Herr Flick replaced it, or did, you know, both actors just improvise? Like, you know, it's possible that Herr Flick didn't even notice or something. And certainly, he wouldn't have been able to, in the suit of armor, he wouldn't have been able to just bend over, pick it up, and hang it back up. But, you know, and yeah, it's possible he didn't even notice. But Hans doesn't seem that surprised that it's on the floor. So, yeah, I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know how many takes they do of this stuff. So it's possible that they just did several takes, and every single time it fell on the floor. So Hans was just expecting, or maybe he's just quick at, like, you know, reacting to, let's see, instead of breaking character. Flight of Fancy. And we do them so well. You have such a forgettable face, and then he realizes how insulting that sounds. Oh, she knows. Turn right and keep straight on. I don't know why it's funny to see someone walk away from a car crash in a TV show or movie holding only the steering wheels and, like, soot on their face, but it is. And it's super charming, yeah. It's such a great way for the plan to fail, that, in, you know, the rubber band, yeah, just the whole thing, and just no one thought to check that the stopping blocks, or whatever they're called, that they could remove those. They assumed that they could, and yeah. Let's see. Pretty Maids All in a Row. And the engine was found, of course, because they had to leave the wreck of the plane behind. The Germans investigated what on earth happened there, and yeah, they were already looking for the engine, so yeah. Fearless heroes, all they do is hide. I guess Renee liked heroes who weren't shot down. And the razor. It is so weird to see the two British airmen without mustaches. A few episodes later, they seem to have them back. Are they implying that they grow insanely fast, or are those supposed to be fake mustaches? Or, yeah. This is a silly game, he says, because he didn't win. It is I, Leclerc. And the general requisitions them. And the Gestapo are listening in on the radio. For me, it is twice. Renee sitting on the little chair is adorable. Why did the airman use the tunnel to cross the road? And she forgets her flashlight. I'm gonna go lie down. Was that from the film King Kong? When the general ignores them trying to salute him, they're like school children waiting for the teacher acknowledging. them letting them go. Ah, sorry, I think that bounced the camera too. There's not going to be a wall big enough. I like how we'll gradually find out more about the details of the plan without being told what the plan is. Leclerc almost forgot he has lines, and all the actors in the plan are such hams. I love how Edith so obviously shoots at the floor, not the two airmen. And the great unescape. And long description. Here we go. Then where are you putting the earth? Smallhausen is smart and useful in this episode with the radio. As the French cop, Leclerc has a black mustache that doesn't cover his white one. I really hope the tunnel set, or location, I hope it was a set, wasn't actually as cramped as it looks. Like, certainly some of the Earth is actual Earth. What I hope they did was, like, build, you know, basically have like, when you build, like, a tunnel that you're just supposed to be filming in, you don't have to build all the walls of it. If they only build, they're always shot up against the left wall of the tunnel. Hopefully there is no right wall, and they just keep the rest of the room dark so it doesn't have light coming in unnaturally, so that at any point in the scene, you know, if the actors are, like, getting really, like, claustrophobic or such, they can just, you know, break character briefly and just look and see, okay, thank goodness I'm not actually, you know, completely, I mean, man, especially one of the, if you're one of the actors that's, like, in the middle with people on in front of you and behind, and they're doing take after take, you know, a lot of the time they don't, you know, once you have all the actors and props and everything in the one place, you want to do this a take of the same exact thing over and over until you get it right, and then you move on, you know, rather than shooting a new take in sequence of the whole tunnel. So they might have been there for hours. That must have been horrifying, even if you don't have claustrophobia. Now, so these are, you know, if there are dead bodies in these, hopefully we put a screwdriver in with them in case we make a mistake. Man, there are a lot of dark jokes with, you know, very, very black comedy jokes with, I can't believe I don't recall his name, the Undertaker. I am growing mushrooms. How did that get in there? The tunnel has come out in England. And listen very carefully, she will say this only once. It must have been very cathartic for these British actors pretending to be airmen, mouthing off and laughing at supposed Nazis. I don't think it's necessarily all that funny. It's one of the only times in the show where there's, like, stuff happening that isn't really funny and doesn't progress plot or anything. Just, yeah, I'm sure it was very cathartic, you know, for them to be. I mean, even one of them, General von Klinkerhoffen, takes out his gun, fires it in the air, and like, I think it's the leader of the airmen is like, temper. I mean, he just threatened to shoot, you know, or he just threatened you for sure. You know, I mean, from playing prisoner of war, certainly seems like they can throw you in the cooler, I think they call it, you know, solitary confinement, if you keep displeasing them, you know. Even if, you know, I realize they're not allowed, you know, the rules state that they're not allowed to mistreat members of the enemy military. If they're, you know, they're supposed to capture them and then put them in the camp, and they're not supposed to abuse them inside the camp. you know, it would be nice if that extended to civilians, but yeah. Which brings us to Series 4. And the first episode. Prisoners of War. Here we go. Fittingly, I watched the first live-action Tomb Raider movie just the day before watching the episodes with Digging Tunnels. It's also just the day before, you know, yesterday. Yesterday I watched, what's it called? Where Eagles Dare, which is an amazing movie. And yeah, it's if that movie wasn't so freaking amazing, I might have had a difficult time not laughing when you have the Gestapo guy being very, you know, strict and like suspecting people and such, and you know, German officers threatening and all this stuff. But yeah, completely randomly, it was just, you know, I'm watching movies while my wrists, you know, rather than using the computer so much, while my wrists, you know, get gradually better. And that was the movie I was up to, literally, alphabetically speaking. It is I, Leclerc. Plan of escape my ass. Wagstaff is a furry. Not approved. Oh, don't kink shame. And the plank thing with, you know, jump on it and it'll... They got that idea for an escape plan off level 4 of the Incredible Machine. It is I, Helga. And he walks off the plank. And Hans just ended up in Renee's place. The escape committee are like, laws of physics, how do they work? And everyone has a different plan of escape. Ah, Wagstaff is a cosplayer too. Camp dance. Here we go. And the airmen followed them out. They really are not very bright. And they're like, well, nobody told us we were supposed to stay. I mean, how many escape plans have failed at this point? You know, if they can't successfully, you know, aid you in escaping occupied territory, the next best thing is leaving you in a prisoner of war camp. You know, the whole point is you have to remain hidden while you don't have your uniforms, because you'll be shot as spies if you're found without uniforms in enemy territory, and they don't have your uniforms. If they could at least get you into the... yeah. So they have sent her back to Switzerland. Where's the back room? Behind the front room. And the radio hit Leclerc on the head. This is madness. No, Renee, this is Nouvion. Good staff are hard to find. I'm going to miss both Hans and Maria, but really, the show has maintained the same big main cast for a long time for a British TV show, in addition to this running a lot longer than most British TV shows, at least of this kind. And now we get Mimi and Alberto. Gerald. He is lost. It was not a good year. She literally, Mimi, in the first episode she's in, twice tries to poison a, series regular, enemy of France. And brings us to the Flying Nun. And almost there we go. And Flick is still wearing the black leather gloves. I forgot my key. If you listen, I will tell you. Once. And Flick still behaves like himself, ordering people and shouting in the skies. Subtle microphone in the vase. Clever to have the radio status quo changed by the Gestapo realizing about it in these episodes. The sausages in the trousers. Are we alone? Listen very carefully. She will say this only once. Now, Smallhausen misunderstanding what he hears the general and colonel say is very nicely written. At first it's like, well, that wasn't that funny of a joke, but then you realize that the joke isn't so much what the general and colonel say to each other, it's what Smallhausen thinks it is and the consequences of that. And once the riding glove is on the daffodil is turning around. Not for very long, but for a few seconds. It's just like, what's it, spinning, I guess is the word. And now they have to ride the bicycle to power the radio. Was that Edith's actress breaking character, or did she mean to laugh there at the end? The Jet-Propelled Mother-In-Law. And almost there we go. Containing garlic. It's all perfectly logical if you think about it. And by the time the first pill is ready for the general, he has already picked up another glass. And then he learns to spit it out and does so with the next pills. And the chair starts fizzing, speeding forward, and the general cancels the 6 cases. Now, only an hour, 3 minutes, and 40 seconds. That's kind of short for a thoughts video with so many episodes. I might try to make more notes for the future ones, but unless I change it, currently the plan is to only do 2 more videos of these. One for season 5, which is the same length as an American, show season for this kind of show, and then seasons 6 through 9 in one video, because again, so short. I'm not going to do a video every week on one of these, or yeah, I would rather just do it like this, especially considering how short some of these are. So yeah, as usual, I enjoyed doing the video, and I hope you enjoyed watching. See you next time.